So, Echo and Ramadi. I have to tell you that if I could have given it an extra star or two,
Hmm.
I would have. And I know why that resonated with me, but I want to hear from you. Why do you feel that that resonated with me and others the way it did?
I wrote that book to honor the sacrifices of the young Marines and families that supported us while we fought and that still support us this day. The people that I wrote about in that story in Echo and Ramadi were really emblematic of the type of leadership at every level, not
Mhm.
mine, at every level, from the young 19, 20-year-old Lance corporals that had already fought in Ramadi in 2004 and then back 24 months later in '06. I think that you and other military people absolutely understand the components and that type of friction that I describe in detail in the book from a historical perspective, which was also important to me. Marines and soldiers, that battle absolutely had to be captured.
Mhm.
That was one of the bloodiest periods of fighting throughout the entire war. It redefined what fighting was for us as Marines 5, 6, 7 times a day in direct contact with a very well trained insurgent force. So anybody that fought in any city can understand that. And I think maybe I started thinking of those Marines that I led. That's why I devoted so much of my life to writing this book. But honestly, as it evolves when you're working on a project of that nature or any story, I think now the goal was really to write the story for the other 99%, not for the Marines. They got it. It's really become this lens that other people look through to see the immense sacrifice and service of these young men and women who a year before that they were playing high school football, and then we put them through this amazing sausage grinder of training and we crank out the best product in the world in the Marines, and we thrust them into these life-changing, life and death situations in Ramadi especially, and the way they perform is unbelievable. And as a leader, you hope that that type of training has filtered down. That's our goal, obviously, in a decentralized model. But those Marines at every level were, from the junior enlisted to the senior enlisted to the lieutenants who had never been to combat before. I think that, ultimately when I wrote that story, it just became something else. It may fall under the category of military history or a memoir, but really it's a book about people. It's a book about human connection, and that's what it's become.
How, my question to you would be, how did you zero in on that human element? Was it by chance? Was it something that did you go into that starting out, I got to get the human element across?
And I'm going to talk specifically about fighting in Ramadi, Iraq in '06, '07,
Mhm.
which again was some of the bloodiest fighting that we had. It was day on, stay on. It wasn't a matter of if, but when we were going to get engaged. And the resident knowledge from these young Marines, these guys like Sergeant Espinoza, Jonathan Espinoza, who I write about, who got shot by a sniper. He was this salty, seasoned sergeant that the Marines just feared. They feared this guy, and he didn't talk a lot, but he said a lot.
Oh, yes.
And he was 21.